$60 billion. This is how much industry experts believe the global music business is worth. Today, many musicians have claimed their share of those billions and made themselves rich. Filthy rich. But the question is, how many of these filthy rich are female? And more specifically, who are the top 10 richest in the world? Number 10. Jennifer Lopez. Jennifer Lopez is a multi-award-winning singer, songwriter, actress, and easily one of the most popular and influential Hispanic artists of her generation. To say her music career has been successful is a criminal understatement. J-Lo, as she's fondly called by fans and the press, has sold more than 80 million records, and her acting career is so successful that by 2019, she was earning as much as $40 million annually. Today, the multi-talented crooner has a net worth of $400 million, and that fortune has afforded her a lifestyle that most can only dream of. J-Lo owns a number of properties in Miami, New York City, and around the world. However, her primary residence is a sprawling 7-bedroom estate on 8 acres in Los Angeles' chic Bel Air neighborhood, which she bought from actress Sela Ward for $28 million in 2016. Earlier in her career, she spent $4.3 million on this 11-bedroom home overlooking Beverly Hills, which she later sold for $12.5 million. Now, it might surprise you to hear that J-Lo has never driven a car herself, but it hasn't stopped her from assembling a pretty impressive automobile collection. Her most inexpensive car is a $17,000 Fiat 500 Abarth, which was gifted to her early in her career by Fiat themselves, after she starred in one of their commercials. On the more expensive end, she owns 3 Rolls-Royces, a $460,000 Rolls-Royce Phantom, a $416,000 Rolls-Royce Dawn, and a $340,000 Rolls-Royce Ghost. Her former husband, A-Rod, gifted her a Porsche 911 GTS for her 50th birthday, and she also owns a $78,000 Cadillac Escalade and a $202,000 Bentley Continental GTC. Altogether, her car collection is worth roughly $1.5 million. Number 9. Shania Twain. Known as the Queen of Country Pop, Shania Twain is a cultural phenomenon in her home country Canada and all over the world. Despite her rough start to life, Shania would go on to be insanely successful, selling more than 12 million copies of her album Woman in Me by 2007, successfully breaking into the North American market. However, unlike J-Lo, whose wealth is gotten from acting as well as music, a vast majority of Shania's net worth is purely record sales and royalties. In a music career that has spanned decades, Shania Twain boasts of more than 100 million record sales and more than 20 different awards, including 5 Grammys. She is also the 6th best-selling artist in the United States, and she is worth $410 million. Aside from her music career, Shania runs a fragrance line and a charity organization. She also owns prime properties in some of the most luxurious locations. 2 of her most luxurious include this spectacular 7,000 square foot waterfront mansion in the Bahamas that sits on a 1-acre lot that offers 150 feet of beachfront. It costs a whopping $10 million. The other mansion is in Lake Geneva that has a scenic view worthy of a James Bond villain. But Shania is no villain. She's a darling to her fans, and she also leads a very private life, and that's why no one knows how much the property costs. Shania also has an awesome car collection, including a $250,000 Ford Thunderbird, a vintage 1968 Shelby GT500 KR, a Jaguar E-Type, a 1970s Chevy Corvette, and a sweet 1957 Chevy Bel Air. Number 8. Barbra Streisand. Next on this list is the queen of the divas herself, Barbra Streisand. Barbra Streisand is one of the few entertainers living today whose career has endured across generations. I mean, she has been active and relevant for 6 decades, and her journey becomes more impressive when you consider the fact that she came from very humble beginnings. Right from when she was a kid, she knew she wanted to be a singer and an actress, and she made good on her dream when she was 16. She moved into New York City and began taking any role that came her way. At night, she would sing at nightclubs, and eventually she bagged her first major acting job in Another Evening with Harry Stone. From then on, Barbara found success as both an actress and a musician, earning Grammys, Golden Globes, Academy Awards, and Tonys, among many others. Today, she is worth a baffling $425 million, according to Forbes. Barbara used a sizable chunk of that wealth to acquire a $100 million cliffside estate in Malibu. It is so grand that there is a rumor that Barbara installed a mall in the basement of the house. When it comes to cars, every vehicle Barbara owns or even touches becomes priceless. There is the 1959 Bentley S1 that would probably run into tens of millions if she ever decided to sell. And then there's this 1976 Mercedes 450 SL, which would normally cost somewhere around $30,000, but since it's Barbara's car, you can bet it would easily rack up six figures, if not more. Number 7. Victoria Beckham. Victoria Beckham is an icon in the UK and on the international scene. She began as a core member of the music group Spice Girls, and they quickly became one of the most successful female musical groups in the world. Victoria eventually branched off into the world of fashion, where she started an eponymous fashion brand. However, unlike most of the other stars on this list, she was born into a wealthy family. From a young age, Victoria took an interest in singing and auditioned in The Stage in 1994. This was what led her to join the immensely successful Spice Girls, a band that would go on to sell more than 80 million records worldwide. Today, she's worth somewhere around $450 million, which is thanks mostly to her fashion designing brand and skincare line that contributes the bulk of her income. Victoria is married to the equally wealthy and equally famous David Beckham, and together they have 4 kids. Now this is where things get tricky. Because they've been married for so long, they've bought a lot of things together that they both own. For example, they have joint ownership over an $82 million property portfolio that features a £31 million townhouse in London and another £6 million farmhouse in a nature preserve in London. They splurged £19 million on a Miami penthouse that has breathtaking views of both the Miami skyline and the Atlantic Ocean. They own 2 homes in Dubai that together cost an estimated $13 million. And to crown it off, they have a custom-made $5 million 93-foot yacht that served as reception for the wedding of their first son to a billionaire's daughter. Number 6. Gloria Estefan. A world-famous singer with Cuban roots, Gloria Estefan is known as the Queen of Latin Pop and one of the best-selling female artists of all time. She is known to have paved the way for several other Latin singers, like Selena Gomez and Ricky Martin. Gloria Estefan was born in Havana, Cuba. She migrated with her family to the United States, and by 1974, she became a U.S. citizen by naturalization. In 1975, Estefan and her cousin met the leader of a band called the Miami Latin Boys, who invited them to join. In 1977, the band was renamed Miami Sound Engine and began releasing albums. After some time, the band was signed into disco's CBS International, where they became successful both locally and internationally. In 1989, Gloria went solo, and over the next 20 years, her success reached new heights. Today, she has sold more than 75 million tracks worldwide and has a net worth of $500 million. Gloria has also established many businesses, including hotels and Cuban-themed restaurants. Together with her husband, Emilio Stefan, they own majority shares in the football team Miami Dolphins and have properties around the country. However, their most prized property has to be the exclusive Star Island neighborhood in Miami that they purchased in 1993 for $1.84 million and sold it last week for an astounding $35 million. The home features 6 bedrooms, 10 baths, and is spread over 7,988 square feet. Number 5. Beyoncé. Beyoncé Giselle Knowles-Carter, also known as Queen Bee, is one of the highest-paid black musicians of all time, with a staggering net worth of $500 million today. Now, it's easy to tell where a sizable portion of her wealth comes from. From the very beginning of her career, Beyoncé was already earning big. Between 2007 and 2008, she earned more than $80 million, and she is one of the only two female artists to earn more than $100 million in a single year. She has also sold over 200 million copies of her tracks and has countless endorsements and sponsorships. Beyoncé also owns 100% of a multi-million-dollar athleisure clothing brand she named after her daughter, Ivy Park. Since Beyoncé is married to Jay-Z, and they've been together longer than most would have expected, most of their properties are co-owned. In 2003, early in her career, Beyoncé purchased a spacious condo in Manhattan for $5 million. 3.5 million pounds in 2005, and would later sell it in 2017 for $10 million. More recently, Queen Bee and Jay would buy a 13,000 square foot home that was once a Presbyterian church. This extravagant purchase is only matched by the Queen's car collection. On her 25th birthday, she got her first and arguably most expensive vehicle to date, a $1 million vintage 1959 convertible Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud II. Number 4. Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton has been a legend in the country music scene longer than many of you watching have been alive, and yet she is still a force to be reckoned with today. But things were not always smooth sailing for the country queen. She was born incredibly poor. However, she went from singing in church to signing with a music publishing company in 1964. By 1974, she got her big break with the song I Will Always Love You, which topped the country charts, and the rest, they say, is history. Today, Dolly Parton has been inducted into more than 10 different music halls of fame. She has won more Grammy Awards than I am willing to count, and she is worth $650 million. That staggering wealth is, in part, thanks to her music, and other parts thanks to the countless businesses she owns. From restaurants to theme parks to a charity foundation, Dolly Parton is a mogul. She owned a 4,795 square foot house on a quiet street in suburban Nashville from 1980 until 1996, when she sold it for $140,000. It might not be a lavish mansion, but it has become a tourist destination for country music lovers. On the automobile end, Dolly Parton has a strong affinity for Cadillacs. The 1997 Cadillac d'Elegance is her personal favorite, and recently it has made its way into a museum dedicated to the undisputed godmother of country music. Number 3. Celine Dion. The most popular Canadian musician in the world is Celine Dion, and that is a fact. And you don't even need to know or like her music. Her name is a global brand. Maybe it's because of her powerful vocal ability, timeless melodies, or the fact that she can sing in English, French, Chinese, Latin, Italian, and Japanese. Whatever it is, it has paid off for her. Today, she is the second best-selling female artist in the US and has been named Queen of Adult Contemporary by Billboard. By the end of 2010, Celine Dion had already grossed close to $750 million in revenue, and today, she is currently worth $820 million. It's no surprise that Celine is also a genius businesswoman. She owns a handbag line and several other business establishments, such as restaurants and real estate. Celine has owned and sold several houses across her long, successful career. However, the most notable one has to be this custom-designed mansion in Malibu, Florida, that sold for almost $40 million. And when it comes to cars, this $500,000 Maybach 52 she regularly sports is one of her most expensive and gorgeous vehicles. It's pretty impressive, especially when you consider that she came from nothing and rose to the very top. Number 2. Madonna. Madonna has been called an icon, a legend, and the undisputed queen of pop. And all of it is true, because there are not many artists, male or female, who have reached the levels of success and influence that Madonna has experienced. Her bold, controversial, and expressive style, phenomenal songwriting, and visually stunning music videos have cemented Madonna as a legend. Madonna is the best-selling female recording artist of all time, and she is worth an unbelievable $850 million. During the pandemic, she bought a Hidden Hills mansion from The Weeknd for $19.3 million. The property includes a 13,391 square foot main house, boasting 7 bedrooms and 9 9 bathrooms, a gym, a wine room, a theater, a bar area, a 5-car garage, and a full basketball court. Back in 2017, she paid $8.9 million to acquire a 4-bedroom Moorish revival mansion. And further back in 2009, she spent a hefty $40 million for a 13-bedroom Georgian-style mega mansion. I could go on forever about the countless houses she owns. So let's talk about her cars. And as you might have guessed, Madonna has also had an incredible list of cars through her illustrious career. However, the most famous car she drives presently is an incredibly rare Maybach 62 that costs an unfathomable $1.8 million, and you would probably never find on the market. Number 1. Rihanna. Jokingly referred to as the greatest export from the Caribbean islands, Rihanna Fenty is without a doubt the richest female musician on earth. She is a bona fide billionaire with a net worth of $1.4 billion, according to Forbes themselves. And this is coming from someone who took a bet on herself when she dropped out of high school to pursue music. In less than a decade of singing, Rihanna was already the second best-selling female artist of all time, and she would go on to sell more than 250 million copies of her tracks, win 9 Grammys, 13 American Music Awards, 6 Guinness World Records, and 12 Billboard Music Awards. However, beyond music, Rihanna is also an actress, a fashion icon, and a businesswoman. And it is those last two that have brought in the most bread for the music billionaire. Rihanna has multiple fashion-based products that fall under her multi-billion-dollar Fenty brand. On the home front, Rihanna recently purchased this $14 million Beverly Hills manor, where she resides with her sweetheart, A$AP Rocky. Living there means she is neighbors with her musical heroes Madonna and Sir Paul McCartney. Rihanna also has a secret $44 million London house. And when it comes to cars, there's no luxury vehicle Riri cannot afford. At the moment, there are 6 vehicles that we know she has in her garage. There's the $73,800 Chevrolet Suburban LTZ, a Ferrari 488 GB that costs $507,351, a Porsche 911 Turbo S that cost her $402,743, a Lamborghini Aventador that costs $817,255, a $600,000 Maybach 57, and the most expensive of them all, a Mercedes-Benz SLR